to inflict more suffering, to amplify the hatred directed at my son, even if he's considered a wretched soul. He remains my son. He held deep affection for his girlfriend, and should he have committed any wrongdoing, it was under the influence of narcotics and alcohol. To me, this provides no justification. If he has harmed her in any way, let him face the consequences for his actions. May he spend the rest of his days behind bars, and if he dies there, I'll bury him myself. The audio you just heard features a woman named Sandra, her son Chaitson. Carlos Andres Bustamante stood accused of a heinous crime. In these messages, you won't find the unconditional love one typically associates with a mother. We witness a profound revulsion towards her son's heinous deeds. But what could provoke such a reaction from the very woman who brought him into the world? To uncover this, let's delve into the history of a chilling crime. Nancy Pau Reiss Garcia was born on April 3, 1991, in the village of Garanadas in southwestern Guatemala. She was the second of 5 children born to Jorge Reiss and Prudencia Garcia. Nancy was a business administration student in Quetzaltenango, a major city known for housing the region's leading universities. For 6 years, she also worked at a supermarket in the same city. While living in Quetzaltenango, she became a mother to 2 daughters, fathered by a man whose identity remains private. According to Denison, one of her younger brothers, Nancy, was a quiet, cheerful, and hardworking young woman. But in her late 20s, she felt a strong pull to broaden her horizons, driven by a desire to achieve even more. Having graduated from university, she found herself at a crossroads, unable to land a fulfilling, well-paying job, and unsure of her next step. This is a situation many face, with some succumbing to the pressure, stuck in unfulfilling jobs, or spiraling downwards, feeling trapped. It's important to remember that even as an adult, it's acceptable to explore, to feel fear and uncertainty while discovering your true self. After completing Skillbox Career Orientation Test, you'll receive a selection of 4 potential career paths. These paths are thoughtfully organized into modules, aligning with areas like programming, design, marketing, management, analytics, gaming, film, and music. Practical exercises will help you discover which area resonates most with you. Look forward to engaging videos and interactive articles about each profession. Throughout your exploration, you can connect with a career advisor via course chat to ask questions. Embark on a journey of self-discovery. As you navigate the course, a dedicated workbook will become your trusted companion, guiding you to weave together test outcomes, personal aspirations, and insightful reflections on each activity. This process will illuminate the path toward your ideal profession, connect with a vibrant community of like-minded individuals, and engage in enriching discussions. Should questions arise, a career guidance expert will be available in the chat to provide personalized support and direction. The course is designed to be completed in approximately 3 to 4 hours, allowing you to tailor your learning experience. Whether you prefer to unwind with video sessions after work or immerse yourself in the materials during a weekend, the flexibility is yours. The culmination of your journey will equip you with invaluable strategies to address doubts and limiting beliefs. Learn to overcome these obstacles, empowering you to confidently take the first step and embark on your chosen career path. Nancy's elder sister had already made the leap to the United States, and the young woman felt a pull to follow suit. However, she wished to avoid the risk associated with crossing the Mexican-U.S. border. She decided to set her sights on Spain instead. Resolved to make this dream a reality, she confidently told her mother that she would fund the trip herself and find employment upon arrival. Having diligently saved every penny she could, and after years of unwavering dedication, Nancy finally purchased her coveted ticket. In July of 2018, at the age of 27, she bid a fond farewell to her parents and brother, Dennis, snapping a final picture in front of the airport before embarking on a life-changing journey to Spain. After spending a year and a half immersed in European culture, December of 2019 saw Nancy settle in Triale, the capital of the Cuyo province of Madrid. There, she made a living cleaning houses and caring for the elderly, pouring her heart into each task. A significant portion of her earnings was dedicated to supporting her 2 daughters, aged 3 and 6 in 2019, who remained in Guatemala under the loving care of their grandparents. The remittances Nancy sent home each month meant her parents could finally afford to renovate their house. For the young Guatemalan woman, things were falling into place. She had found stability in a new country and was able to support her family thousands of miles away. In early 2020, Nancy met Carlos Andres Bustamante, a Colombian immigrant, and they started dating in March. As social isolation measures took hold during the pandemic, they moved in together. Having been together for only a short while, Nancy and Carlos seemed to be doing well. She appeared content in her new surroundings. At least that's what it looked like to Denis, who also lived in Sudreal and was in constant contact with his older sister. A few months later, in August of 2020, Nancy, yearning for a fresh start, made the decision to relocate to Santander with Carlos. The move to the northernmost part of Spain was seemingly driven by the pursuit of better job opportunities. On the 9th of August, they settled into a rental apartment that Carlos's mother, Sandra, had arranged for them. Relocating coincided with joyous news. Nancy was 3 months pregnant, yet as their bond deepened, challenges surfaced. One day, while Nancy video chatted with her parents, Carlos's voice boomed, demanding to know who she was speaking with. Without hesitation, she told him it was her father. Another, even more unsettling incident occurred. Nancy was on the phone with her uncle, who resided in the United States, when Carlos noticed. He approached her, abruptly snatched the mobile from her hand, and demanded to know who she was speaking with. Upon learning it was her uncle, he appeared to relax, returning the phone. Nevertheless, a palpable anger still lingered in him. Following their conversation, Nancy promptly dispatched a photograph of Carlos to the very uncle with whom she had spoken. She made it unequivocally clear that should anything befall her, he alone would bear the responsibility. These unsettling circumstances ignited a mother's anxieties within Prudencia, Nancy's mother, regarding her daughter's well-being. In a phone call that took place on the 19th of August in the year 2020, when Prudencia voiced her concerns, Nancy offered a confirmation of her deepest fears. The 29-year-old revealed her intent to break free from Carlos, citing his overwhelming jealousy and suffocating control. The next day, August the 20th, Nancy was supposed to call her mother, but the call never came. Prudence, knowing the situation with Nancy's partner, contacted Denison and Aníbal, Nancy's brothers who were also in Spain, and asked them to call her. Sadly, they couldn't reach her either. What's worse, Carlos didn't answer their calls or messages. This was unusual for Nancy, as she always kept in close contact with her family. 5 days crawled by without a word from Nancy and her partner Denison. Living in Ciutat Trial, Denison, desperate for answers, sought out Sandra, Carlos's mother, as an alternative contact. Somehow, though details remained unconfirmed, Denison and Nebelu managed to track down Sandra's address and journeyed to her home. Upon seeing them, the woman, according to their account, collapsed to her knees, tears streaming down her face. She confessed her growing fear that something terrible had befallen Nancy, hinting at the possibility that she might no longer be alive. Then on the night of August 26, Carlos reached out to Denison through social media. In his messages, Nancy's partner revealed that he hadn't heard from her in days, stating simply that she had left and hadn't returned. Though weary that Carlos had chosen this late hour to confide in him, Denison maintained his composure, spoke with him, and provided his mobile number. The next day, Carlos called to express his apologies. He conveyed, too, his deep sorrow and worry regarding Nancy. Together, they arranged to journey to Ciutat Trial and officially report her disappearance. The truth was, Denison and his family harbored distrust towards Carlos. Up until this point, he had maintained a troubling silence, and furthermore, failed to elucidate the nature of the work that had prompted Nancy to move so far away. Their doubts gnawed at them, fueled by inconsistencies in his story. Driven by a growing unease, the Nancy brothers ventured to the Ciutat Trial National Police Station, determined to report their sister's disappearance. As fate would have it, Carlos's mother had already filed a missing persons report the day before. When the police arrived at her doorstep, they sensed Sandra's internal conflict, torn between revealing the truth and shielding her son. During the visit to the station, Sandra reluctantly showed the officers a lengthy message sent by her daughter-in-law at 12:38 a.m. on the 20th of August. Nancy's message pleaded with her mother-in-law to stop sending money to Carlos, as he was squandering it on alcohol. She went on to describe the appalling treatment she endured at his hands, revealing his volatile nature explaining that he would fly into fits of rage whenever he left for work, leaving her destitute. In a chilling precursor to her disappearance, Nancy voiced her intention to file a police report against Carlos and seek a restraining order. The most unsettling part of the lengthy message were the closing words. With a tremble in her voice, the young woman confessed her deepest fear. She didn't want this to end with Carlos behind bars or, worse, with someone dead. She believed it was better to sever ties now, before his possessiveness spiraled into something truly irreversible, something that would extinguish her life. Sandra then unveiled a more complex picture of Nancy's life, details that painted her not as a simple maid, as her family believed, but as someone who earned her living as an escort. These revelations, if true, offered a chilling glimpse into the circumstances that made Nancy so vulnerable. Driven by the demands of her profession, she migrated from place to place each season, always searching for new clients. It was this pursuit that led her to Santander. According to Sandra, Nancy's line of work was the source of Carlos's jealousy and rage, erupting whenever she left to earn a living. During these episodes, fueled by alcohol and drugs, he turned violent, attacking not only Nancy but also her clientele. In the cities of Trial, Santander, and Madrid, police forces launched an investigation into the disappearance of Nancy. Days after she vanished, Prudence, Nancy's mother, received a text message from her daughter's phone. The message simply stated that she would call later. This SMS puzzled Prudence deeply. Being unable to read, she and Nancy communicated exclusively through voice and video calls. Suspicion began to coalesce among family members, with many pointing fingers at Carlos. The unearthed details from his past corroborated the police's suspicions. The 28-year-old had been arrested 23 times previously. 4 convictions for gender-based and domestic violence stained his record. Shockingly, 2 of his victims were family members, one being his own mother. This revelation shed light on Sandra's visibly distraught demeanor during her police testimony. Torn between a mother's love and a growing fear, she worried for her son, yet ached for the safety of her daughter-in-law. Days after Sandra sought help from the authorities, the brothers of Nancy presented detectives with an audio recording. In it, the suspect's mother berated him with harsh words, but also confessed her enduring affection for his partner. The recording painted a portrait of Sandra's inner turmoil, a woman still bound to her son by maternal ties, despite the painful events that had unfolded. The raw emotion in her voice revealed her desperate plea. May they suffer no more. May they no longer despise my son. Even if he is a dirty son of a bitch, he is still my son. His deep love for his girlfriend was also evident. Under the intoxicating influence of drugs and alcohol, he committed his transgression. To me, this offers no absolution. If he wronged her, he must bear the consequences. May he languish within those prison walls until his last breath. Should he meet his end there, I shall personally ensure he receives a burial. Sandra presented the authorities with an additional text message. It was 2 o'clock in the morning on the 21st of August when a chilling message arrived, sent by her son, Carlos. This was a day after Nancy's last known contact with anyone in her circle. The message was brief and devastating. Carlos informed his mother that the young woman had perished in a car accident. Given his history of violence and his mother's account, it came as no surprise that Carlos immediately became the prime suspect for investigators. On the 26th of August, a joint operation between the Santander Police and Madrid's Central Police Station led to a thorough search of the apartment the couple shared. Inside, they found traces of blood and other biological evidence, some visible to the naked eye, others revealed through the use of luminol. The initial examination revealed a dozen bloodstains, the most prominent of which were located in the kitchen and on the shower wall. As the investigation progressed, signs of violence became starkly apparent and increasingly disturbing. Notably, bone fragments were discovered within the drain pipes of both the bathroom and kitchen sinks. Further inspection uncovered more blood on the underside of the kitchen cabinets, while the bathroom drain yielded wipes infested with maggots. The apartment's owner subsequently provided the officers with a woman's suitcase, clothing, and other personal belongings that had been left behind in the unit. Amidst the items lay a package bearing an orange label, identifying its contents as a meat cleaver. Investigators determined the packaging matched the model of a tool sold at a local market. Another package contained gloves, revealing fingerprints belonging to Carlos. The market owner later told police he'd recently sold a meat cleaver, garbage bags, and a shopping cart to a young man, described as being of Latin American descent and speaking in Castilian Spanish. This description aligned with their current suspect. The grim scene painted a chilling narrative. Bone fragments, traces of blood, and the ominous presence of an axe packaging all spoke of a violent act within the couple's apartment. Nancy, the missing woman, was the presumed victim, and suspicion immediately fell upon her boyfriend, Carlos Bustamante. Investigators now faced a two-pronged challenge: locating the suspect and uncovering the fate of Nancy's remains. Solving the first part of the puzzle proved swift. On August 27th, Carlos himself walked into a Madrid police station, reporting the disappearance of Nancy, whom he identified as a co-worker from Escalates. The following day, August 28th, he was taken into custody, suspected of involvement in Nancy's vanishing. Upon his arrest, the man was found in possession of several pieces of jewelry belonging to a young woman. Furthermore, numerous scratches on his hands immediately aroused the suspicion of the arresting officers. Investigators hypothesized that between the 20th and 21st of August in the year 2020, Carlos brutally took Nancy's life. He then allegedly dismembered her body to fit it into a suitcase, which he then used to remove the remains from the apartment. Law enforcement diligently searched the sewers and sifted through refuse, aided by sanitation workers. The investigation even extended underwater, with divers scouring the sea near Santander. Alas, these efforts yielded no fresh leads. Undeterred, the detectives tapped into the phone lines between Sandra and Carlos, meticulously tracing the suspect's movements. This surveillance allowed them to reconstruct his path from the 21st to the 27th of August. He weaved a trail between Santander and Burgos, detoured to Bilbao, returned to Burgos once more, and finally ended up in Madrid. It was there, while filing a report, that the authorities apprehended him. The extensive network of surveillance cameras proved to be a crucial piece of evidence. By analyzing the footage in conjunction with geolocation data from Carlos's mobile phone, the investigator meticulously pieced together his movements in Santander following Nancy's disappearance. On August the 20th, at 4:30 in the afternoon, Carlos was captured on camera hobbling toward Del Agua Park, aided by the crutches he was using at the time. An hour later, he was recorded returning to his residence. Then sometime after 9 in the evening, surveillance footage again placed him in the vicinity of the park. He pushed a heavily laden shopping cart, only to return later with the same cart, noticeably lighter. At 10:32 p.m., local police cameras captured him maneuvering the cart through the secluded La Peña del Cuerva area, bordering the Parque del Agua near the Santander railway tracks, a place known for its dense thickets and difficult access. Later that evening, around 11:15, Carlos approached the already closing Bar Santander, requesting a whiskey, but the bartender turned him down due to the late hour. Subsequently, at another bar, 2 waitresses observed him weeping, claiming his pregnant partner had succumbed to COVID in Miami. On the following day, August 21st, Carlos handed over the apartment key to the landlady's sister. Afterward, he embarked on a bus journey from Santander to Burgos, a trip documented by security cameras at both the departure and arrival stations. 2 days later, on the 23rd, he was back in Santander, making a return visit to La Peña del Cuerva, the same location where he had discreetly gone shopping days prior. Upon seeing these images, investigators finally gained insight into the potential location where Nancy's remains were likely buried. On the night of September 16th, they observed the thickets in La Peña del Cuerva, and the following morning, they thoroughly searched a section that was difficult to access due to fencing and its position on a slope. Upon executing the operation, 4 packages were located. To reach them, the officers descended to the site using ropes. Upon opening the packages, they made a gruesome discovery. Human remains, meticulously separated. It was a single body, dismembered into 20 pieces and distributed among the packages, exhibiting advanced decomposition. SODMET experts in Madrid compared the genetic material extracted from the remains with DNA obtained from a young woman's underwear and toothbrush, as well as profiles of her relatives. The investigation concluded that the remains belonged to Nancy Reiss. This revelation brought forth a chilling realization, not just because of what was discovered, but also because of what was conspicuously absent. Nancy had been 16 weeks pregnant, yet her fetus was nowhere to be found among the remains. The medical examiner posited a grim theory to explain this unsettling absence. The autopsy revealed that the victim's genitalia had been mutilated and the fetus had been forcibly removed. Amidst the discovery of the remains within the Lopena del Corvera thicket, further evidence surfaced, solidifying the belief that Carlos was the one who placed them there. A specific plant species characterized by its razor-sharp leaves left traces that matched the cuts found on the suspect's hands by the police. At the police station, investigators subjected Carlos to intense questioning. His statements were riddled with inconsistencies and outright falsehoods. For instance, he claimed to have journeyed to Bilbao on that particular day, a claim that quickly unraveled under scrutiny. On the day Nancy vanished, an unsettling detail emerged. Both her and Carlos's cell phones were traced to the same location, deepening the suspicion. Based on the collected evidence, the investigation team pieced together a chilling reconstruction of Nancy's murder. According to forensic experts, around noon on August the 20th, Carlos approached Nancy in the kitchen and seized her by the neck, leaving her unable to defend herself. He exerted immense pressure, suffocating her until she died. The autopsy report further revealed the use of a kitchen knife, upon which his fingerprints were undeniably found. Carlos, having extinguished the lives of his partner and their unborn child, laid out several of the homeowner's sheets and mattress pads on the kitchen floor. He then placed Nancy's lifeless body upon them. He proceeded to use a meat cleaver to dismember her. Afterward, he packed the remains into bags and set out to find a place to dispose of them. Later that evening, as captured on surveillance footage, Carlos employed a shopping cart as a makeshift transport, wheeling the heavy bags containing the body parts to a secluded location where he abandoned them. Investigators believe he attempted to sanitize the crime scene, as they discovered a large container of bleach during the apartment search. On the 21st, after signing over the apartment, Carlos embarked on a lengthy journey, shuttling between Santander, Burgos, and Madrid, making stops at various bars before finally arriving at the Madrid police station, where he was apprehended. 2 years later, in November of 2022, the trial of Carlos Bustamante commenced, following the conclusion of the investigation. The trial spanned 2 weeks, featuring testimony from approximately 80 witnesses and experts. Finally, on November 23, 2022, the jury delivered its verdict. Carlos Bustamante found himself condemned for a cold-blooded murder and the desecration of a human body. 9 days later, the gavel fell, sentencing him to 25 years and 5 months behind bars. Furthermore, a 30-year restraining order was issued, forbidding him from approaching Nancy's relatives within 200 meters. Even after serving his sentence, Bustamante's ordeal wouldn't be over. He would face a probationary period and be obligated to pay $100,000 in compensation to Nancy's daughters, parents, and siblings. Crafting captivating content is key to engaging an audience. Instead of a direct call to action, consider embedding the sentiment into the narrative. Imagine concluding with a line that subtly guides the reader. And so, the story unfolds, leaving us to ponder its depths. Share your own reflections. Your insights add to the tapestry of understanding. Join the ongoing conversation, explore further, and let's continue this journey together.